Welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be joined with Sheronna, who's come all the way from Toronto, Canada with her fantastic film, Remote Paradise. Let's take a look at the clip.
Girl, I saw you on the gram living your best life in Tulum.
Morning, beautiful.
I'm saving so much money out here balling out on pesos.
I got my surgery coming up. Gotta get snatched for the summer.
Good news. Everyone is coming back into the office.
We gotta stay strong in this fight, girl. We already have robots for managers. Who knows what's coming next? I ain't going back.
Like, going to work is ghetto.
Sheronna, thank you so much for thank you for coming all the way from the other side of the world to be here.
My pleasure.
Welcome to the New Filmmakers LA family. I don't ever want to go back to work after watching your film. That's it. It's over
Let's
now.
figure out how not to go back.
You've done this now. It's it. Your film was fantastic. Honestly, super. Got so many questions. But for those that haven't seen Remote Paradise, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, so Remote Paradise is a short film, a comedy, and it is about the woes of getting called back into the office after the experience of working from home. So we see all the fun stuff, you know, how we kind of control our schedules and what we do and even where we are in the world. And then you get that dreaded call like, hey, everybody's back. And yeah, it's just, we highlight a character, our lead named Denise and her best friend Sarah, and we just see how they navigate the what is next after that phone call.
It's so slick, it's so funny, and I think a lot of people around the world can have absolute empathy for maybe being in that experience. But it's also just a stunningly great idea mixed with, you know, AI and futuristics and taking us around the world and all of that stuff. Where did this, dare I ask actually, Sheronna, where did this inspiration come from? I decided to make this film.
Honestly, you know, truly it stemmed from the experience of transitioning out of a pandemic and figuring out so many people in the workforce, figuring out what's next, you know, in terms of, oh, we're kind of in lockdown, but we still need to work. We still need to figure it out. So just having conversations with friends and family over, you know, the years, really, it was just like, you know what, let's put a highlight lens on this exact experience, just kind of, and then intertwining the sort of AI sort of characters in the film too, helped me to kind of bridge what happened and what is happening in the future and currently too with Remote Paradise. And then, yeah, that's how it came about.
But I mean, it was written so wonderfully. Like there was just so many moments that I think were just, you know, people can kind of resonate or just also just really, you know, showing how the world has changed in like literally a few years. We're all different socially. We're different. No one even knew what Zoom was 5 years ago. Like, I mean, the world's changed so dramatically and we're all become and do things differently. I love these vibrant characters that you created and I felt for them a lot. God bless them. How did you go about creating these characters? And I'm sure the casting process was really fun for you too.
It was. So our writers of Remote Paradise are Tasia Harris and Troy Crossfield. And, you know, they collaborated beautifully on making this story. And when I jumped in and kind of was going through the story and editing that, I wanted, you know, our lead to be, you know, kind of by the book, grounded, but we see her having fun, right? And then she has the best friend whose priorities are more vanity based, right? Like I need to work to get my Dominican body. I got a surgery coming up,
so
like,
funny,
you know, all these things, right? And so of course, you know, our lead Denise is in Mexico. She's in Tulum, you know, balling out on pesos, as she says in the script. And we had to give her, you know, a hot guy to spend her time with because why not? You know what I mean? But, you know, because we had a woman writer and a male writer, we were able to see the nuances and that sort of thing. So from, you know, Tasia's perspective, she was like, okay, well, we got to make this guy hot, but like not good for her. Like, oh, he needs to borrow money, you know, all these things. He's not there for her when she loses her job because that's a real experience, you know? So that was something. And then the AI Mark character who plays the the boss, basically,
yeah.
the manager who calls them back into the office. He is this AI character. And my personal influence from that in terms of where I draw from and what I shared with Tasia and Troy was that, you know, I want to kind of trickle in the world of AI, but from that realism's place where he looks and feels human. My inspo for that really is like Westworld and Black Mirror and these sort of TV shows and that kind of thing. And so I wanted him to look and feel human as he did, but the tone in which he speaks and he just is not emotionally connected to these ladies losing their job. He does not care.
I know, I found that very offensive.
Yeah, you know, and I wanted to kind of trickle that in a light-hearted way. So I was really happy with kind of like the mix and the balance of who these characters were and playing together and seeing them together.
Yeah, I mean, they were so entertaining to watch, and just the way they connect with each other and just they play off each other. It was just really, really entertaining. And it's amazing because like not only have we gone through this change of remote and how we work now, but also the influence of AI. Like it's, you know, you're kind of almost, you know, it signifies what we're kind of going to expect in our future as well.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So you really futuristically showed us probably where we're going to be in a few years' time regularly anyway.
Right, which is it's scary, you know, but it's like it's things like ChatGPT and these things are like integrated into our everyday lives now. And so I just kind of wanted to say like, well, what would it look like if it was a real human person? It's like you won't be able to tell, you know.
And for you as a director, like I mean, this must have been fun to work with your actors and play. Like, what's your process as a director? How do you work with your actors?
Well, I am an actress myself.
Yeah, so you get it.
So I get it, you know. And I always say I like to be an actor's director, and what that means to me is I love to give my actors space to bring their personalities, bring their thoughts and ideas about their character to the screen. We had this like a host character who is kind of just like a moment in time. We see him twice in the show where he's doing a game show. His name is Gerald Edwards, and he was cast from Atlanta, and he, you know, sent in Zoom tapes. Everybody sent in Zoom tapes, and I was just like, seeing his tape, just as an example, I was like, oh, this person has energy and vibrancy, and he can bring so much to the character. And when he got to Toronto and started just playing, and he made his character larger than life, and to the point where I found places in the script to add more of him, whether it's a voiceover from him, whether it's a button on the end of the movie from him, which we see. So I love that as a director. I love for actors to feel comfortable and confident in bringing their own self to what we're doing. You know, I invite that fully. Also, my two lead females, this was like some of their first work. You know what I mean?
And they're so good.
Yeah, and so I was just like, okay, don't be nervous. This is a safe space. If you have questions, if you're unsure of how to deliver something, like I got you, but feel free to make it your own.
You're such a great director. I'm so glad they got you on set, because it is really nice because you've got that connection with your actors. But I think, you know, not everyone is, you know, has that natural ability. You're an actor, you know, so you understand as an actor's director. And I think it's so nice because actually they trust you, and you get more freedom to play as well. I think from that.
For sure.
Visually, it was like really beautiful to watch. The production design. I mean, you know, and you did travel the world with this film, so. How was that? That's a lot of plane journeys. Tell me how you did this.
Yes, I mean, big budget. So this was one of my first short films where I actually had like a designated set deck person, you know, a set designer who that was her only job and all of that. And I was so fortunate because she really came in and was like, all right, you need this to look like Mexico, you need this to look like New York, you need this to look like Toronto, or we're bringing in beds. And we were in an office building, as I mentioned. We were not in like any houses or anything like that. And so I I would say production design was a huge part of getting the story across, you know, because I wanted it to look like 3 different places. And even my DP, Eddie, he did such a great job with his team on the lighting side as well to really bring in color, right? So we have this kind of brighter, airy looking, you know, feeling in Mexico, and then we have this kind of like more moody tone in New York, because we kind of feel that way when we go to New York. And then we have this kind of like office vibe, but it's a little futuristic because your manager is AI. You know what I mean? So color and lighting and set design was really like a real big character.
It was a character.
You know, in this film for me this time. And that was my first time really paying attention to that part of it. You know, as an indie filmmaker, it's kind of like, how do we do this quick, fast, dirty, least amount of money, you know, do it on one day, like all the things. So being able to really make choices visually really helped on this project.
Yeah, no, I love that you said it was like a character, and I think especially in like a comedy as well, you know, it was part of its kind of its comedic element, which added to the characters and the story and everything. You know, this film was definitely, I think, you know, a film that from wherever you are, you know, there might be an essence of universal where you can relate to these characters, these experiences, everything else. But like, you know, obviously going into this project, like, was there anything you thought about, like, what you would love, what you wanted your audience to kind of take from your film?
I wanted the film to feel grounded and relatable. You know, we have the AI elements that are kind of like the fun futuristic part, but more than anything, in shining the light on this very specific experience, I knew that people around the world had this experience. Something that I mentioned on stage yesterday too was just you know, the influence of even like TikTok and the phenomenon of what it became over the pandemic, and just how people were looking for online jobs and figuring out all these creative ways to make money and that kind of thing. So I found these elements that felt universal to me, and that is what I wanted the audience, like anywhere in the world, whoever's watching, whoever's in the audience, I wanted them to feel and see something that they could connect directly with. And just have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. It was very entertaining, not to mention, I mean, of course, it hasn't always got to have a deep moral, but we all did go through that. But I mean, it was deeply entertaining as well. Like, and I kind of wasn't done with the characters. I'm like, no, is there a series? Is there a feature? Like, what's going on? So what is next for you?
Yeah, well, I'm actually in the process of writing my first feature. I promised myself that I would sit down while I'm in LA, get my laptop out, and do some writing while I'm here, just to clear my mind and that kind of thing. But I'm really excited about it. I want to venture into the sci-fi thriller world. That's kind of where I live as a consumer. What I like to see, is, are you real? Are you fake? What's real? What's fake? Who's behind the machine? All of that kind of thing, with twists and turns. I thought it was going this way, but it's really going that way. Like, I love that type of stuff. And so I just kind of want to take my stab at it. But, particularly from the lens of a Black woman and that kind of thing. And just my goal as a filmmaker is to see, myself and or representation of me and my community in those spaces a little bit more, you know?
Absolutely.
And so, I'm really excited about it. And the element of AI Mark in Remote Paradise is kind of my way of trickling in my personal interest into any genre, this being a comedy and being new for me. So
I'm so ready for this feature that you're making, and I'm so ready for it, just because it sounds very exciting, but also it's because I'm excited it's going to be from your lens and your experience as well. And I'm just curious to finalize on, as a filmmaker, like, it's hard work being a filmmaker, and and of course we've got so much more to do in our industry to broaden the lens and the storytellers locally and globally. And I'm like curious for you as a filmmaker, what inspires you as a storyteller, and what more do you want to see out there in a way that that represents who you are and everybody that's out there as well? It's a broad question, but in your own beautiful context.
Well, firstly, what inspires me as a filmmaker is the gift of storytelling. I look at it as a gift, an opportunity to shine a lens on just about anything in the world, be it big and grand, or be it very genre and nuanced. That is what draws me to filmmaking. It's like, oh, what a gift to be able to like tell this story from this perspective, and there's really no wrong way to do it, because I always believe that there's no wrong way to be you and to tell your story, in terms of what I would love to see more of, as I said, I want to see more representation of, the Black community, Black women in particular, in genre film, in things where, it's a thriller or the horror, but we're not the one that's dying first, or like, all the things, right? Things that we've seen historically in filmmaking. And just having fun, and kind of going out of the box, from the trauma story, or the story of like the hardships or whatever it is. And there's space and room for all of that. But for me as a filmmaker, I kind of want to present a different side or a different version of us. And again, with something like Remote Paradise, something that is specific to my experiences, but still has world appeal, where whoever you are, whatever you look like, whatever your background is, you could still watch a film from me and relate to it somehow. So that's my goal.
Well, I'm so glad we're so glad you're a filmmaker. We're so glad you're also a game changer, because, it's always inspiring to hear the great work that is going to be coming forth. And you never know who the person you're going to meet that's going to be touched by your story, because it means something to them in a way that only they could understand. And I think that's so beautiful. So I'm just so thankful. Thank you for coming all the way from Toronto. Please come back soon and make movies here too.
Can we that is the goal.
Yeah, okay.
That is the goal.
This is not the last we're going to see of you here, is it?
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
good. But no, seriously, thank you for Remote Paradise. Thank you for coming, and welcome to New Filmmakers LA family.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. This meant so much to me to be a part of this festival in particular. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sheronna, everybody.
Thank you.